Matthew chapter 9 and verse number 36. Understanding the Lord of the harvest. I'm going to read from the King James Version. Matthew chapter 9 and verse number 36. All you need to do this morning is pay good attention. That's the price to pay for this message. Pay good attention. And the reason why it's important to pay good attention is because this is the book of Matthew. Every Christian that is born again, there are Christians that are not born again. Every Christian that is born again has probably read the book of Matthew. So you can be tempted to think that you know it, right? Yeah. So, but we don't do that in more ministries. So you have to, the best time to pay good attention is when a scripture that you know is presented as the topic. That's the time to pay good attention. Yeah. So Matthew chapter 9, 36 to 38. He said, but when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then said he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. How many of us have seen that scripture before? Yeah. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest. Now, let's look at the story. Jesus had been ministering to people. Can I have a little bit of volume? A little bit. Not too much. He's been ministering to a lot of people. Healing the sick, casting out devils. And there was just so much he could do. There was no internet then. So he went from city to city. Now, verse 36 said, when Jesus just saw the need, he saw the need. What need did he see? The people fainted, despaired. Many people were giving up of life. And they were going aimless, no direction, confusion. I'm sure if you look around today, you will see situations like that. Yeah. Unless you are not living where men are living. Or unless you have created an alternative universe for yourself. That is when you can just think that everything and everyone is okay. There is despondency out there. There is frustration. It's pain. As good as America is, maybe, we still complain about America. Family members, husband and wife, uncles and aunties, Christians, when we meet together, there are things we talk about, right? Yes. About the world, about the spiritual state, about the economic state, about the social state. There are things that we just don't like the way they go. So Jesus saw all these. Then Jesus said to the disciples that were with him, the harvest is plentiful. He saw all the people having those problems as potential members of the kingdom. He saw the opportunities he saw the problems as opportunities. That was how Jesus saw it. But he now went on to say something, which is the core of what I am sharing with you today. He said, pray ye. He said, therefore. The meaning of therefore is because of this need, because of this problem, because of these challenging situations, pray to the Lord of the harvest that he will send people to solve the problem. Now, you see, now listen, are you following this morning?
Yes, Pastor.
The Lord of the harvest. There is a harvest, but there is the Lord. The Lord simply means the owner. The Bible calls it in other places the householder or the landowner. Do you understand?
Yes.
The owner of the farm. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So the farm, right, has an owner. The compound has an owner.
Yes.
Do you understand? The space where there is problem has an owner.
Amen.
You cannot be passing through my farm and from the road you see that certain things are growing there that are killing my crops, and that there are some animals eating my crops. You see some bad things. You cannot, because you saw them, enter into my farm to start solving the problem. You didn't get that? Do you understand? You cannot be passing through the front of my house and you see that my lawn is overgrown, and then you stop and start taking care of my lawn. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the lawn has an owner. You don't know what the owner of the lawn is thinking about.
That's right.
You don't know why he allowed the problem to remain. It is true the problem is that he wants it solved, but you don't know how he wants it solved. It has an owner. So, the ability to perceive a need is not a call to solve the problem. This is the reason why many of us have failed. You know, this is a follow-up to what I taught last Sunday. Last Sunday, I was saying that you cannot function in the Father's business until you know that you belong to God. Remember that, right? He said to equip God's people. So working in the Father's business is for God's people. Do you understand? And that you have to remember that you are a God person. You are a man of God, you are a woman of God. Do you understand? That was what I shared last Sunday. It was your understanding your identity and working in the Father's business. But today, the area I'm looking at is you understanding that the business we are talking about is the Father's business. It's not your own. It's the Father's business. The Father is not working in his children's business. The children are to work in their Father's business. Oh my God. Do you understand that? We are not the one that employs God. He is the one that brings us in. Do you understand? And that you are my son. And that you realize that you are my son does not mean that under any circumstance I can allow you to work in my business. This is the reason why Jesus said to the people, look at the problem. The harvest is plentiful. The people are fainting. The people are weary. The next thing they should have said is, let's draft as many people as possible inside. Or let's see how we can help. He said, no. Pray that the Lord of the harvest, the owner, will send people inside. You cannot go into the farm until you are asked to go. So when I read that, I'm confused. And I want to say, why? Why? So, this is what I discovered. You know, God has a way that he wants his business done. There's an attitude he wants in doing his business. The harvest we're talking about is a harvest of souls. So, he wants to be sure that the people he's sending in are going to do the job for him. Not people that will harvest and take the crop to their own homes. Not people, just because there is a need, you just send anybody there who doesn't know how to harvest corn, and he just begins to destroy them. I'm not talking to somebody today. Now, at the beginning of the spring season this year, I'm talking to you this way. Are you getting this? At the beginning of the spring season this year, you know, I really wanted our lawn to look good. So, I began to ask here and there. They said the best thing to do is to remove the sod and put new sod. Very expensive. And I didn't want to do that. I called somebody else. And that guy said, no, you don't even need a sod. All you need to do is aerate the soil. Aerate and rake it and put weed killers and then put crops. The first 2 years, put seeds. The first 2 years we were in the house. We didn't do anything. We never planted any seeds. We never did anything. But the grass was looking good. At least the ones at the back were looking good. So, okay. The guy, come on, he aerated. The guy came, he aerated, and planted some things and left. Then now I discover that there is right now at the back of the house, there's no grass anymore. What you have there are weeds. Weeds completely. Are you there today? Yeah. Because I brought in somebody who didn't know what to do to take care of my lawn. And instead of taking care of the grass, he killed the grass and replaced the grass with weeds. Shouldn't I have waited to get a proper person to do it?
Yes.
Are you still here today?
Yes.
That is why the Bible talks about the Lord of the harvest. He is the one that sends people into the harvest. Look at the people look at the Christians, for example, that saw a lot of problems in politics in different countries. Because we all have this idea that if a believer gets involved in politics, the country is going to become good, right? But consistently we have seen that as soon as those Christians get into politics, in the name of God, to try to solve the problems that God is seeing in politics, they end up becoming worse than the problem they went there to solve.
Yes.
Why? Because they only saw from the outside. They didn't really understand the problem that was taking place in their politics.
Amen.
They didn't know what the problem was. They didn't know what to do, spiritually speaking. So they jumped in. And because they were not prepared, politics swallowed them. That is why God does not send people anyhow. So it brings us to this point that even when you see a problem, the prayer aspect of your Christian life cannot be undermined. Because you can step out to do a legitimate Christian business and still fail.
Amen.
You have to be sent. Are you still here today?
Yes, Pastor.
So why is God not sending people? Why are there so many problems around us? Problems we can see, and God knows that the problems are there, and He doesn't appear to be sending people to solve these problems. Why? Are you still here today?
Yes.
Now, let me share with you one or two scriptures. Psalm 78 and verse 72. Psalm 78, verse number 72. How many of you want God to use you?
Yes.
He said, so that's about David. Psalm 78, verse 72. So he fed them, how? According to the integrity of his heart, and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. That's David. Now look at me. How do you build integrity?